Help. Rima, you do one thing. You leave the meeting and then
Man,
join again.
your voice is not coming.
You leave, Rima, leave the
Okay.
meeting and then join again, okay? Maybe she has got some net connection problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wait for her to join. My voice is clear, right, Prishita?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, do you remember the 3 components of the cell that I taught you?
No, yes, ma'am. Still it's not coming.
Can you hear me, Rima?
No, ma'am.
What is happening? All right. Okay. So, do you remember the 3 components of the cell that I taught you about?
Yes, ma'am.
What were the 3 components?
The nucleus, then
Yeah, now I can hear.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Switch on your video so that I can see you.
the nucleus, the membrane, and the cytoplasm.
Okay. Rima, do you remember the 3 components of the cell?
What is it, ma'am?
I'm saying, do you remember the 3 components of the cell?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what are the 3 components of the cell?
Ma'am, can
Do
you
you-
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Speak. Speak. What are the 3 components of the cell?
New cells and membrane, new cells and cytoplasma.
Yes, it is nucleus, not new cells. It is nucleus, and it is plasma membrane, and then it is cytoplasm. These were the 3 main components of the cell. Okay.
Okay.
Now switch on your video. All right. So today we are going to be discussing the plasma membrane. Okay. Now, before starting about the plasma membrane, do you people know what is the meaning of a membrane?
Yes,
Yes. What
a
is the meaning?
covering.
Yes, a covering. Okay. If anything is covered by something, it means that that particular thing has a membrane on it. Okay. So now we would talk about what is membrane. Okay. So the first question is, what is a membrane? Okay. The first question. Now, as Prashita said, that membrane is a covering. Okay. A membrane is a covering. Okay. Now, for now, we know that a membrane is a covering. Now, can you tell me what function it might provide if it is a covering?
To
What is the
protect and
Yes. Yes, the
and to
first
like
and yes.
absorb the nutrients inside the cell.
Yeah. So the first and the foremost work of this particular membrane is to provide protection to the cell. But when we are talking about the plasma membrane, okay, plasma membrane, for example, look at the screen. For example, this is a cell, okay. This part here is the nucleus, okay. And then this whole, all of it is the cytoplasm, okay. So what is this? The cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm.
This is the nucleus. Now see, I told you that this is the picture of a cell. Now this covering, do you see the surrounding? This
Yeah.
particular part is known as the plasma membrane. Now do you see that it encloses all the components inside?
Yeah.
Right? If nucleus and cytoplasm is the component of the cell, so it is enclosed by what? It is enclosed by a plasma membrane.
Plasma membrane.
Very good. So so now you write it down. a plasma membrane? Write it down. We are defining a plasma membrane. So I'm writing in short, but you write in full, okay? A plasma membrane is a protective covering. It is a protective covering around the cell, around the cell, which protects the cell against the external environment, against the external environment. Okay, so that is the
Yes, ma'am.
definition of a plasma membrane. Have you guys written it down?
Yes, ma'am.
So is the sole purpose of plasma membrane clear to you?
Yes.
Rima, is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, we will also talk about more of its function, right? So what happens, this particular cell membrane that I shown in the diagram, it also allows,
Yeah, it's a semi-permeable membrane.
yes, it is a semi-permeable membrane. Now, can you tell me why it is a semi-permeable membrane?
To let the nutrients enter inside.
Yes. Now, see, for example, in our body, there are like millions and millions of cells present, right? It's not just one. So our body as a whole is an environment for the cell. Okay. There are a lot of things that the cell needs to persist its life, right? So this particular membrane, the plasma membrane, it allows for those materials to get inside, which is known as the influx, right? It is coming inside. So it is known as influx. Or it can allow the waste materials or the different kinds of materials to be going out. So that is efflux. Okay, that is efflux. So influx and efflux are clear to you? So influx can also be known as inflow, right? Something is flowing inside, and efflux can also be known as outflow because something is flowing outside. Is this clear to you?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now see, because of this particular property that the cell membrane is allowing the material to get inside, or it is allowing the material to go outside to be transported or to, to be excreted out, this whole process makes our plasma membrane a semi-permeable.
Semi-permeable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Semi means half, right? Semi means half. How a semicircle is there? Same way, semi-permeable. It is not that it will allow big molecules and organelles to go out of the cell. No, it will never. It will only allow those things which are meant to be transported in and out of the cell, right? It won't
Yes,
allow
ma'am.
bigger particles such as proteins. It won't allow organelles to go out of the cell. Is this clear? So because
Yes,
of
ma'am.
this property, the plasma membrane is known as selectively permeable membrane. Okay, so with that, you write one question down. The question says, why is the plasma membrane known as a selectively permeable membrane? Okay, this is one question that may be asked, like, why is the plasma membrane known as the selectively permeable membrane? Now, can you people answer this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Rima, can you answer this question on your own now?
Yeah, I will try.
You will try. Okay, tell me what will be the answer of this question. Tell me, why is a plasma membrane known as a selectively permeable membrane? What may be the reason that it is known as the selectively permeable membrane? Tell me,
Ma'am,
Rima.
it is known, okay.
Say, Rima.
Uh,
See, if you don't know it, it's fine. You can say, ma'am, I don't know it. Ma'am, I can't understand it. It's fine. It's okay. Say.
I don't
Okay.
know, ma'am.
See, look, I will clear all
Can
of
I?
your doubts. Yes, I know that you know it. See, look, I will clear out all of your doubts, but I have only one condition. Okay, my one and only teeny tiny condition is that you have to listen. Okay, what I'm saying, you have to pay attention. And if you'll pay attention, then you will solve all the answers with a click of your hand, isn't it? If you listen to me, then you can answer all of the questions. So see, Rima, I will explain it to you again. See, a plasma membrane is a protective membrane around the cell. Okay, it protects the cell from the external environment, and it is known as semi-permeable membrane. Now, why is plasma membrane known as semi-permeable or selectively permeable membrane? It is known as so because it allows the influx, which is the inflow and outflow of the materials from outside the cell or from inside the cell. Okay, this is the reason why it is known as selectively permeable. Now, do you understand the word permeable? Do you like, can you make out what does the meaning of permeable is? Not in biology, in English you tell. What is the meaning of permeable?
To let something flow?
Yeah, to permission, to give permission, isn't it? Permission. So that is why plasma membrane is, because it allows, right? Here I've written it allows, right? And when will a thing allow? When that particular thing is giving you permission, right? How you ask your parents for something, you ask for the permission, and then when they allow it, then you're able to go out of the house or go out play, right? Same. Okay. Now, is it clear to you now, Rima?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now write down this question and then you can write it in words in your notebook. Okay. All right, so moving forward, now we will discuss something about this very interesting and fascinating phenomena, which is known as diffusion. Okay, diffusion. Now, does anybody know what is diffusion?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Diffusion is like in simple terms, it's mixing of some substance with another. And one example of diffusion is an essence stick. Like when lightened, it diffuses with the air.
See, that the diffusing of gases is different. But here, when we are studying about the cell, the term diffusion, it is basically the movement. Okay. When, see, write it down. It is the movement, it is the movement of gases. Okay, movement of gases, atoms, molecules, etc. from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Okay, region of low concentration. And this occurs through a selectively or through a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so this is the definition that you need to learn. Okay, because this will be of help to you in all of your classes. Right now you people are in class 9th. This will be used in class 10th also, class 11th also, class 12th also, and after that also. So this is one definition that every science student remembers. Okay, so basically, see, now I will tell you the meaning of this particular definition. For example, this is one place and this is one place. And I am taking the example of a carbon dioxide. Do you understand what carbon dioxide is?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now see. For example, okay, first let me talk to you about carbon dioxide. Now, can you tell me which gas do we breathe in?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Do you know the chemical formula for oxygen?
Yeah.
What is it?
O2.
Yes, O2, right. And CO2 is the chemical formula of carbon dioxide. So
Carbon.
we breathe in or we take in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. It means that oxygen is necessary to us and carbon dioxide is a waste product for us, right? It is now, you can write it down. Carbon dioxide is a cellular waste. Okay, what it is? It is a cellular waste and it is needed to be excreted out. It means that our body needs to throw it out, right? So now, for example, in our body, the carbon dioxide level rises. Okay, a lot of carbon dioxide is present in our body. Okay, and then in that comparison, the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere decreases, right? So we are talking about diffusion. So now I told you that it is the movement of gases from a region of a higher concentration to the region of a lower concentration. So now the carbon dioxide will move out of the cell or will it move inside the cell?
Out of the cell because it's
Out
in
of,
a larger quantity.
yes. Now, since it is toxic to us, it is a waste to us, we don't need it inside our body. So when the carbon dioxide level increases in our body, we excrete it out by breathing it out and other mechanism, right? So this carbon dioxide, this example wherein the carbon dioxide moves out of the cell is through the process of diffusion. How? Because it is going or it is moving from a region of its higher concentration to
concentration.
the region of its lower concentration. Here in the external environment, the concentration is low as compared to our body, and this is the body. So it will move from here to here. Is it clear? Any doubts?
Yes.
No doubts?
No. No.
Very good. All right. Now, okay, I will tell you another example. One more example, like how I said that oxygen is required for respiration or breathing, right? We breathe in oxygen. So if the amount of oxygen present in the external environment increases and it decreases in our body, then what will happen? Which will be the direction of the O2? Where will be it diffused to?
In the body.
From the external environment to the body. Why? Because here the concentration is higher and here the concentration is lower. So as I said, that gases, they move from a region of their
Higher concentration to a lower concentration.
lower concentration. And this process is known as
Diffusion.
diffusion. So Rima, can you tell me the names of the two gases that are, that move by the process of diffusion? What are the two gases? What are the two gases that move by the process of diffusion? Tell me. I just gave you an example. I wrote this, right? What is this, Rima? Can you see my screen?
Ma'am, nothing. I can't see.
Can you see here?
Yeah, now I can see.
Okay. What is this that I've written on the screen?
CO2.
What is CO2?
Carbon dioxide.
Yes, it is carbon dioxide. And what is O2?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. So what is the movement of these two gases is called? What is the name of the movement of these two gases? What is that process of, like the whole process of movement is known as? It is known as diffusion. Okay. See here, I told you everything. Are you not listening? Are you not paying attention, Rima?
I'm paying attention, ma'am.
Yes, please pay attention, because in that way you will learn here only. You won't even have to open the book later on. You will learn here only. Okay. I want you to learn everything here so that you don't have any tension of, going through the book. Oh, I can't learn it. I don't want that. I want you to learn everything here. Okay. So whatever I'm speaking, listen to me very carefully. And if at all you have any doubt, if I'm speaking too, quickly or fastly, stop me there. Say, ma'am, excuse me, can you please go slow? Okay, I will go slow if you want me. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any problem? Is there any problem, Rima?
Ma'am, in between your voices talking.
Is it fine now?
Ma'am, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Hello?
Maybe, Rima, it must be your internet connection, because one student can hear me very clearly. I think your internet
Yes,
connection
ma'am,
is a
it's so
little weak.
low.
Is it low?
Ma'am, no, my internet connection is so low.
I know that. Yes, that is why you are having problem. It's all right. You try to understand. Okay. Try to see what I'm writing on the screen. Okay. All right. So now we will move forward and I will tell you about the role of diffusion. Okay. The role of diffusion. Now you understood what diffusion is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Now, can you tell me what would be the prime role of diffusion? It would be
Hello, ma'am.
the, yes,
Are you there?
yes, I'm there. Are you able to hear me?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think her net connection is very bad, right? She can't hear me properly. Okay, so the role of diffusion is exchange of gases, right? As we saw about carbon dioxide and oxygen. So the role of diffusion,
Ma'am, it is going to finish now.
yes.
Ma'am, my network is going to finish now.
Okay, so is there like you can take a hotspot from your parents' phone or something? Is it possible?
No, ma'am, finished from everyone's phone.
Okay, then just stay connected. We'll see later on. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So the role of diffusion is exchange of gases. Okay. Or the gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange is the prime, meaning the most important role of diffusion. Okay. Understood? Like,
Yes, ma'am.
and the examples were carbon dioxide and oxygen. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now see, we talked about gases, but there is another thing. Now, do you people know what water is?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad that you know what water is. Okay, so water also moves from the cell to the outside and from the outside to the cell. Okay, so water also has a movement and it is present in the cell, not only gases, but the movement of water is known as osmosis.
Osmosis.
Yes, osmosis. Now, see, water, you can write it down like water also obeys the law of diffusion. Okay. It also obeys the law of diffusion, meaning that it will move from the region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration. Yes, it does obey that. All right. But this movement of water is not known as diffusion, even though it obeys the law, but it is not known as diffusion. It is known as
Osmosis.
osmosis. It is known as osmosis. Very now, Now, this process of osmosis, it is affected by a number of factors. Okay. And the most important factor,
Ma'am, in osmosis,
yes,
there is a semi-permeable membrane, but in diffusion, there is not.
in diffusion there may be, there may not be also. It is
There
not a
may be not.
necessity. Yes,
Yeah.
it is not a necessity. But in osmosis,
In
it is a
osmosis,
necessity.
it is a
Yes,
necessity.
because water is obviously a larger molecule than gases, right?
Yeah.
It is different from them. So it requires a selectively or semi-permeable membrane. Okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
I was talking about the most important factor that affects osmosis is the solute concentration. Okay, solute concentration. Now, do you understand the meaning of solute? What is solute?
The thing which is getting, which will dissolve in the solvent.
Very good. Yes. For example, okay, there is a thing known as solution. Okay. A solution is equal to solute plus solvent. Okay. Now, solvent is the dissolving medium. Okay. It is the dissolving medium. Yes. And you were very much right that solute is the thing which is being dissolved. Okay. It is the substance being dissolved. All right. Now see, I'll take an example of a solution. Okay. So example is, have you ever had
Sugar and water.
Okay, you are one step ahead. Yes. Sugar, water, or lemonade, as we call it, right? So in sugar water, what is the solute and what is the solvent?
Sugar is the solute and water
Yes.
is the solvent.
Very good. And together it makes
Solution.
solution. Okay. So when we are talking about this thing, that the most important factor that affects osmosis is solute concentration. Okay. So the amount of solute present, it affects some way the process of osmosis. Now, how?
Yeah.
For example, if we take a plant cell or if we take an animal cell and put it into a solution. So for example, this is my petri plate, okay? And this is my plant cell or animal cell. So I am putting it here, wherein in this solution, the solute concentration is high as compared to here. So solute concentration is low here. Okay, concentration is low. So now can you tell me where would the water go?
Inside the cell.
Inside the cell or
outside the cell? Outside the cell.
Outside the cell. Now why?
Because the concentration here is high and the water needs to be like like a bit low in concentration, so the water will go outside the cell to dilute.
If the solute concentration is high, it automatically means that the water concentration is low. For example, if you have taken this much water and 5 spoons of sugar, then the water is less and sugar is more, meaning solute is more and the solvent is less. Yes. So what we do, we put more water into it to make a good, tasty solution, right? Same way here also. If the solute concentration in our cell is less, it means that the amount of water is high here. And here the amount of water is low. So that is why the water will move out of the cell. Okay? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, very good. Now, if the water moves out of the cell, it will cause this cell will
shrink.
Yes, will shrink. And this solution wherein the water is moving from the cell to the place where the solute concentration is high, it is known as hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, if we want to see like the same example, but here the solute concentration is low. The solute concentration is low, and in this cell, the solute concentration is high. Now, what will happen?
The water will go inside the cell.
Yes, the water will go inside the cell. The water is going inside the cell. And this is known, this will cause the cell to,
Burst.
what will happen? Burst or swell. Yes, Rima, are
Yeah.
you saying something?
Yes, ma'am. It has stuck in between. Can you explain again?
Oh, which thing? Which thing? You want me to explain osmosis?
Yes, ma'am. It has stuck in between this. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it got stuck in between.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I told you about diffusion, and diffusion is basically the
Ma'am,
movement of,
again.
yes?
She can't hear you.
Mama, Dad.
Okay, okay. So here when the solute concentration in the external environment was lower than the cell, so the water moved from the place wherein the water concentration was high. Okay, so like if at all these kind of situations come in your exam, you have to remember water. Okay, don't
Yeah.
remember solute. Remember water. So wherever solute is more, water is less. Wherever solute is less, water is more. So water will move from the region of its higher concentration again to the region of its lower concentration.
Lower concentration.
Right? So don't get confused by solute. Always think about the water. And always remember that example that ma'am told us that, okay, I took this much of water and I took 5 spoons of sugar. What will happen then? Right? Okay. Now, so this particular thing wherein the water is moving inside the cell and it is causing the cell to get swollen up or to get bursted.
Hypotonic solution.
Yes, that is known as hypotonic solution. All right, very nice. Now, the third and the very interesting case wherein I've taken a thing and the salt concentration of this place, the salt or the solute concentration, both are the same thing. Okay, the solute concentration is equal to the solute concentration here.
Yes.
Now what will happen? Where would the water go now?
Nowhere. It would be like in the same place.
Are you sure?
Like no, it will move out and in again. So this will keep repeatedly keep going on.
Yes, very good. See, basically,
Isotonic solution.
yes, no influx or outflux will take place. Why? Because the salt concentration is equal on the both sides. Where would the water go? The amount of water present in the petri dish or the external environment is as much as it is present inside the cell. So there is no need of water in either of the two conditions, isn't it? So, yes.
Hello.
Yes, Rima?
Am I audible to you?
Yes, you are audible to me. Am I audible to you?
Ma'am, can you explain me again?
Yeah, sure. I can explain you again. So I was talking about.
Ma'am, I can't
Yeah.
hear.
Yes. Yes, Rima.
Yes, ma'am, now I can hear you.
Okay. See, I was talking about how the water obeys the law of diffusion. See, water also obeys the law of diffusion, but the process of movement of water is known as osmosis. Okay. And it requires a selectively or semi-permeable membrane to move out or inside the cell. And there is a factor which is very important or where it affects the rate of osmosis, and that is known as the solute concentration. Okay, so now you have to understand what solute is. So see, for example, to explain you what solute is, I will tell you first about solution. So solution is a thing which is made up of a solute and solvent, wherein a solvent is the dissolving medium. Okay, it is the thing in which you put something to dissolve it. For example, in sugar water, water is the solvent and sugar is the solute. So solute is the substance that is being dissolved. In what? In a solvent. So that is a solute and solvent. So that solute concentration, the concentration means the amount of solute present or absent, it affects the whole rate of osmosis. Okay, so when we place a plant cell, now this can be a plant cell or it can be an animal cell. Okay, so when we put a plant cell or an animal cell inside a solute concentration, where inside a solution wherein the concentration of the solute is very much high and the concentration of the solute in the cell is low, it means that the concentration of water in this particular medium is low and it is higher in the plant cell. So the water will move from the plant cell to the external environment. And since water is moving out of the cell will shrink. Okay. And this whole thing is a hypertonic solution. Now, when we place a plant cell or an animal cell inside a medium wherein the solute concentration is lower, it means that the water concentration is high. So then the water will move from this external environment to the cell, and this will cause the cell to swell up. And this particular thing is known as hypertonic solution. Okay. And the third and the final case is when the salt concentration in the external environment, okay, in external environment is equal to the solute concentration in the cell. Okay, it is equal. It is not higher or lower, nothing. So then no influx or outflux of water will take place. And this is known as isotonic solution. Clear? So your question is, what is the difference? Write down your question. What is the difference between a hypertonic, a hypotonic, and an isotonic solution? So your question is, or you can write it like, what is a hypotonic, hypertonic, and an isotonic solution? Can you people answer this question now?
Yes, ma'am.
You can write it down in your notebook, right? You can write in words. Okay, very good. Now, can you explain it to me? Okay, Prashita,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
explain hypertonic to me.
Yes, ma'am. Hyper, right?
Yes, hypertonic.
So in the hypertonic solution, the
Yes.
quantity of the solute is more than the solvent, which makes in the outer environment.
Yes.
And which makes the solution higher concentrated solution. And
Yes.
in the cell, the concentration is low
Yeah.
because of
what?
which
The concentration of what is low in the cell?
solute.
Solute. Yes, very good. Then what
And
happens?
the cell will shrink.
The cell will shrink. Why will the cell
Yeah.
shrink?
Because of osmosis, where the water moves outside the cell from the cell
Okay.
from the
Yes, very good.
semi-permeable membrane.
So you told me that the solute concentration of the external environment is higher. So what about the water situation there? If the solute concentration is high in the external environment, so what about the solvent? How much solvent? Yes, is the solvent high or lower than the solute?
The solvent is lower than the solute.
Yes, that is why water is coming from the cell to the external environment. Why?
Yes.
Because the water is low here. That is why
Yeah.
I told you to always remember water here. Okay. Solute confuses us always.
Yeah.
So try to remember water. Okay. Hypertonic, the solute concentration was high, right? And water concentration was low. So this
Yes.
hyper, hypo, iso is because of the solute concentration. But here only the movement of water is shown because we are discussing osmosis. right? We are discussing the movement of water, not the solute. Is the solute moving? No, the solute is not moving. Right, very good. Okay, so now this whole process, okay, we studied about osmosis, but there must be some practical use of this, right? There must be
Yeah.
something. So it is a phenomena that is used by so many aquatic organisms, okay, and so many plants, like how plants absorb
And
water,
also by humans.
also by humans, correct? Now, can you tell me the example how in humans?
Like while we are making, even in raisins, like or preserving some food, we
Hmm?
put it in salt and water solution where the concentration is high, and
Yes.
we dry up the, like in pickles.
Yeah, and how does it get dry? Or how does it get that shrunken? Why?
Hypotonic solution.
Yeah, because the water is moving out. That is why it is
Yeah.
getting shrunken, right?
Yes.
Very good. So you've understood it very nicely. Very nice. Very good. So same way, the two example or application, if we may say that, applications, okay? So applications of this particular process of osmosis. So first one is, this is the process by which plants take in water. Okay, plants take in water, or you can say plants absorb, okay, this water. Like plant is, okay, now see, tell me, do you have a plant at home? No,
No, ma'am.
okay. You have, Lima?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. Okay, so for example, you know how plants are, right? Okay, so for example, I'll draw you a plant here. This is a very bad plant. Yeah. So for example, you have this very bad plant at your home. Okay, now I ask you to water it. Water the plant. Now, where would you put the water? Will you give it
In
to
the
the
soil.
petal?
No.
No. Will you give it to the leaves?
No.
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 You will put the water inside the soil.
Soil.
Why? Because the roots of the plant are present inside the soil, and this is from where the plant absorbs the water. It is not from the petals, it is not from the leaves. That is why when we water plants, we water into the soil, isn't it? So this is
Yes.
how the plant takes the water inside, or it absorbs the water by the process of what?
Osmosis.
Osmosis. Very good and very correct. Now see, there are many freshwater organisms, right? Marine or aquatic organisms are there. Those organisms that live inside water. So since they live inside the water, do they need to take in water? Just a common question. They don't?
Yeah, they do.
They do, right? Or else they'll die. So even though they live inside the water, this whole hypotonic method is present there also. Okay. So that way those fresh water or the marine or any aquatic organism takes in the water or absorbs the water. Yeah. Any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. No,
So
ma'am.
the applications or examples, if somebody would ask you the application or the examples, you would say plants, and you would say
Marine
fresh,
animals.
yeah, marine, no, freshwater organisms. Okay,
Okay,
freshwater
ma'am.
organisms. Now, do you understand the difference between a freshwater organism and a marine organism?
Yeah. In the freshwater organisms, the flow of the water is constant, and in the marine animals, it's not, because it's in the sea.
Yes. And more importantly, if we are talking about the flow of water, it doesn't matter here. Fresh water
Yeah.
is fresh water because here there is no salt present,
Salt.
right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a beach, a sea beach?
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
salt.
Have you
It
ever
has
tasted the
salty
water?
water.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
salty water. Yes, very good. But have you ever tasted? No, you might not have tasted the water from a lake, but the water from the lake has no salt present in it. But
Yeah,
the
but
water,
from a river.
yeah, from the
Yeah.
river, no salt is present there. The water tastes like normal. So that water which has no salt concentration present is known as fresh water. And the water which is present in the seas and the ocean, that is known as the marine water, because there the solute concentration is there. Okay, that is the basic difference. So I am talking
Yes,
about the freshwater organisms. Okay, because for marine water, there is a whole different mechanism that takes place. Sometimes they take in the salt and then they take in the water. That is a whole very complicated process. But for your standard, freshwater organisms are the example. Okay.
okay, ma'am.
Okay, now see, let us talk more about the plasma membrane. Now we saw how all of these things, they occur through the plasma membrane. But what kind of a structure plasma membrane is? We said that it is semi-permeable. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But there is another thing. It is flexible. Okay, the plasma membrane is the
Yeah.
most flexible structure. It is very flexible. Now, since it is flexible, that is the only reason why it allows the influx and outflux. It allows all of these activities to occur. Why? Because it is flexible. Had it been rigid, would it allow?
No.
No, right? I'll take an example of a door. Okay, this is a very bad door. And I'll take the example of curtain. Okay, now can you tell me, if I have drawn out the curtain and if I've closed the door, which either of them two would be easier for you to go out or come in from?
Curtain.
The curtain, obviously. If you'll go through the door, you'll bang your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this thing, the you know how easy it is to move through and fro, from the curtain,
From a
that is
curtain.
how it
Yeah.
is easy to move from the cell membrane. Only the smaller molecules, not the bigger ones. Okay, smaller molecules. For example, you can come in and out, but if you try to bring a sofa, is it possible? No, no, because the curtain will, get inside or something will happen. It is not that easy. So we're talking about the flexibility of the plasma membrane. So plasma membrane is very flexible. And also we must know, like if we study something, we must know what it is made up of. We saw all of
It's
its
made of
properties.
proteins and lipids.
Okay, yes, it is made of protein and lipids. You know everything, you only teach. So write it down. Plasma membrane. Okay, I'll give it to you as a question. Okay, so you write it down. What is plasma membrane composed of? Composed of, or you can say made up of. Made up of. Okay, so it is made up of lipids and
Proteins.
proteins. And these, the lipids and the proteins, are collectively known as organic molecules. They are known as organic molecules. Okay, they are present in our body. That is the reason why they are known as organic molecules. Okay, so lipids and proteins are what plasma membrane is composed of, or it is made up of, and it is though both of these, the lipids and the proteins, are what? They are organic molecules. Okay, so now this question is easy to solve.
Yes, ma'am.
Rima, are you noting down the question?
Yes, ma'am, I'm writing down.
Okay, very good. All right. Now see, since we are talking about cell and we are talking about plasma membrane, now can you tell me, can you see a cell clearly, like how you see a book or a bottle? Can you see it that way?
No.
No, you can't, because it is very tiny, isn't it?
There are different kinds of cells. Like we can see an egg, which is also a cell.
Yes.
But the
But
cells
in
present in the
general,
body cannot be
yeah,
seen.
yeah, it cannot be seen. So in order to see that, we must use an apparatus known as an electron microscope, right? A microscope is some device that enables us to enlarge a tiny little thing. So in that way, we can see even bacteria also, which are so small. They are in micrometers. So how can you observe the structure of plasma membrane? What is that apparatus called?
Microscope.
Microscope, and more particularly an electron microscope, because that is even precise. Okay, it will show you even minute details. So the question here, you can write down the question: how can you see a plasma membrane of the cell. And you can see it through what?
A microscope or an electron microscope.
Electron microscope, yes. Okay. Now
Ma'am,
see,
will you be giving us a question bank?
a question bank related to the
Before the
chapter.
exam.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I will definitely. Like, see, since we are taking, topic by topic, and our classes is like mostly concentrated on one topic only. So most of the questions I'm giving you in the class only, and then I'm asking you like, will you be able to solve this question? But after, as soon as this chapter is done, I'll give you a very long list of questions along with subjective questions, MCQs, so that you can practice it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Now see, I told you that the plasma membrane is flexible. Okay. So because of that fact, there are some organisms. Now, do you know amoeba?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
amoeba. So this organism is a protozoan. Okay. So this organism is something like this. It has a very weird structure. Okay. Now what it does, it engulfs food. As soon as the food it sees, it draws its pseudopodia around it. Okay. Pseudopodia are false feet. So it draws it around it and it engulfs the food inside its body.
Yeah.
Okay. So that process is known as endocytosis. Okay. Now see. You write it down. Question is, what is endocytosis? Endocytosis. Okay. Now the answer is the process of engulfing food particle from the external environment, is known as endocytosis. Okay. So this process of endocytosis, it only and
Ma'am,
only
it is
occurs.
also called as egestion, right?
Ingestion, not egestion. Ingestion. Egestion is the process of taking it out of the cell. Okay, very good. It is also. Do you take the books from higher class and then you read them? Is that what you do?
No, ma'am. My mom is a doctor.
Okay. It is also called as ingestion, not egestion. Ingestion. Okay, the process of taking it out or throwing it out of the body is known as egestion. Okay.
Ingestion. Yeah.
Ingestion is taking it in. Okay. So this whole process of endocytosis, or ingestion, it only and only takes place because of the reason that the plasma membrane is semi-permeable, and since it is semi-permeable, it can engulf it or take it inside the body. Example, like absorbing it. So that absorbing property is because of the flexible nature of the plasma membrane. Is this clear? And this process of endocytosis takes place in which organism?
Amoeba.
Amoeba. Okay, so you can write it down. It takes place in amoeba. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts up till now? No doubts. Okay, very good. So this is when we complete our whole plasma membrane. This is all about, all you need to know about plasma membrane. Okay, so do you have any problem with this? Any doubts, any queries, anything that you want to ask?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So in the next class, I will be teaching you about the cell wall. Okay, but I will give you a brief right now, a little bit of a brief. So a cell wall. Okay. See, I told you that this was the structure of the cell, and this was the nucleus, and this was the cytoplasm. And this protective covering was known as?
Cell membrane or plasma membrane.
Yes, plasma membrane or cell membrane. This is cytoplasm. And this was nucleus. Okay. Now see, in plants, okay, in plants mostly.
In plants, the cell membrane is present.
Yes, in plants and also in some lower organisms that you will study later on. But in general, in plants, cell wall is a wall. It is a rigid. Okay, this wall is rigid. Remember, I told you a door and a curtain. Now, this wall is a door. It is actually a wall. It is not a curtain. So, it is a wall that is so rigid and it is present outside the plasma membrane. Okay, it is present outside the plasma membrane. Okay, this is the cell wall. Now, this wall is present in plants. And is it present in animals?
No.
No. Okay, so it is present in plants and it is absent in animals.
In animals.
Yes, very good.
And that is also the reason why plants have larger vacuoles than animal cells.
Yeah, and the vacuoles present in plants, they perform a very much different functions. Okay, they perform a lot of functions that the plants require vacuoles to be there. But in the case of animals, it is like some few tiny small amount of vacuoles are there. Okay. Now, cell wall has no connection with vacuoles as such, but cell wall is basically a structure that provides rigidity to the cell. Okay. For example, if you take a cell
Bark of a tree.
Yeah.
Bark of a tree is also rigid because of the cells.
Yes. See, now if a cell wall is present there, the cell won't burst. Okay. The cell, the constituents of the cell won't burst easily. It is a wall that is so rigid and it protects the cell wall from bursting. Okay. And do you know what it is made up of? It is made up of a substance which is known as cellulose. Okay. So, cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, now this is a very complex structure. Cellulose is a complex structure. Okay, for example, if you see a net-like structure, okay, or if you like close your hands like this and you make it like this, will it be easy for the other person to open your hands? No, right? Because it is a very complex, strong structure. Same way, the cellulose is giving a very complex structure to the cell wall, and because of this reason, it provides a structural framework to the plant cell. It does not allow it to burst. Okay, it does not allow it to shrink, and it does not allow it to get destroyed easily. So a cell wall is a very rigid outer layer that are present only in plants. Okay, they are also present in very many lower organisms. Do you know about fungi or fungus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So in fungus also
That
cell
is
wall is
also
present.
kind of a plant.
No, funguses are a different thing. They are
not fungus.
algae are
algae.
plant. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, algae are there. Fungus is not. Fungus, they are not plant. They are a different, there is a different kingdom, like
It's
how there is
like
kingdom plant.
almost a mold in a bread.
Yeah, the mold in the bread. Now, have you ever had mushrooms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mushrooms are also fungus. They are fungi. Okay. Okay, just a second. Okay. So up till now, everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So now I will meet you in the next class and I'll provide you some questions for today. Okay. I'll
Okay,
let you know some questions that you can practice today. And the question bank which you were asking, I will provide it when the chapter is done, so that I'll have a lot of questions and different varieties to give it to you.